Hi all, this is Dr. Wichterman. This is my introductory video, meaning this is my video introducing myself to you. I have nearly 17 years of counseling experience. First 5.5 were in-home intensive with the most difficult cases in the county. And then I spent 3 more years in outpatient at the community mental health. It was the same group, different building that I worked out of for 3 more years. Then I took a little bit of time off, and then I've been doing outpatient ever since. And I could do that time off because I went and got the PhD and was teaching full-time at that point. I've been teaching full-time for 10 years. 5 years were at Spring Arbor, 3 full-time, 2 as an affiliate or adjunct, depending on where you are, is what you label that. And then 5.5 now years here at Colorado Christian University. Historically, my expertise has been in children and adolescent work. I've worked with some of the most difficult adolescents, had to figure out how to break down barriers and walls, and was able to do that pretty successfully. I used to say I could snap my fingers and break through in about 5 minutes, it seemed like, because you'd just do the exact opposite of what they would expect, and you'd be able to suck them in. That sounds so bad sometimes. More recently, I've been trained in EMDR work and neurofeedback, and was doing both for a time, and had to send the neurofeedback machine because I don't work enough to make it financially worth it. The rent on that machine is relatively expensive. And then I'm still doing EMDR and doing a lot of trauma work, and I just refer out when people need neurofeedback. And so I'm getting a lot of 18 to 50-year-olds these days, mostly men, but some women as well. Fair amount of college students, just a lot of trauma. Just a lot of trauma. So many people have trauma, and we've broadened that label so it doesn't have the same meaning as it used to have, but it's still something traumatic. Let's see. Early on in my professional days, in fact, when I was in my practicum and internship, I started dreaming of a youth facility in my hometown of Battle Creek, Michigan, where children and adolescents and 20-somethings could go and feel at home, feel at peace, feel like they weren't being judged by everyone that was around them. And I started realizing that action sports was broadly underrepresented as far as an area where they could do that safely. We had a little skate park under a bridge. It was asphalt. It was chipping. It was falling apart. It had huge potholes and pits in it, and you could hardly ride a skateboard through it. And then you would usually get mugged down there, and then if they rode on the street, they would get a $90 ticket. And so we had to find a place. It took us 12 years. We got it open in one building, raised about $500,000 in total over this broad time. Ended up having to shut it down after 2.5 years because the building was too expensive. And I ended up finding a place in the mall that was hurting, still is, for significantly cheaper, literally a quarter of what we were paying before, and the facility was so much better. So we tore out the carpet, tore out the drop ceiling because it was an old Deb's dress shop in a Norman camera, and we cut a hole in the wall between the two of them, and built a skateboard park in the dress shop, raised up the sprinklers, painted the walls with our logos and stuff, and then had some friends come in and put the ramps in, and then we put in a full-on skate shop in the other half. And the facility now brings in about 70 to 75% of what it needs, and they fundraise the rest. Do skate church on Tuesdays with 2 different groups, and then on Sunday nights with another one. And they ride for free those nights until they fall over, and have Bible study and right in the middle of it. And what that was built on was ecological theory, which is something you might hear about here in the short coming months. And it's basically we created an environment that was therapeutic. And every so often I'll get notes from young men mainly who go to that facility and say, I was going to kill myself, and I went to that place and got connected with people, and they acted like they loved me, and I go every day now, and I'm happy and a follower of Jesus. And what it was is they connected to the environment, they connected to what was going on there, and then they connected to the people. And people need meaning. Dr. Burkhart talks about this a lot. They need meaning. They need connection. We're in the 4th phase of secularism. Look it up. It's time for revival, and people are looking for a place to connect to. And so if you can give people that in a therapeutic environment, that'd be amazing. I haven't talked about my personal life yet. It's all been professional. So I am married. 12 and a half years I've been married. I have 4 kids. Girl 9, girl 7. Almost 8, 10 and 8. Boy 5, almost 6. Boy just turned 2. He was our surprise, but boy's he been a good one. And so we are finally sleeping again, and I'm starting to not feel tired all day, every day. Involved in a local church to teach some Sunday school. I talked to you about this YouTube channel and this video, but this training we're trying to do. And then with my friends, we're trying to do some other things. I've also got a book that's been submitted for publication. I'm waiting to hear back on. You know they turned down most of those, so chances are not very high that it'll get accepted, but I'm hopeful. And I think that's about it for what I got going on. Well, I like woodworking. I'm about to go downstairs and finish some bedside tables. I got to do the tops and the faces of them still. Teaching my kid to mow the yard. I do maple syrup at maple syrup season, and I also help keep bees. That's all with my wife's uncles on the old family farm an hour away from here in Lansing, Michigan. I think that's it. Folks, really do care about you. Want you to do well. If you have questions, if you have needs, send me an email. I respond as quickly as I can. Sometimes I need better boundaries around that. You also need to know that I turn off my phone a lot of times late Friday afternoon into Friday evening, and I don't have it on all weekend, which means I'm not checking my email all weekend. So if you have a question, if you have a need, I want you to let me know earlier in the day on Friday. If it's an emergency and it's later in the day on Friday, I'll respond. But typically I turn my phone off on a weekend, just trying to create a Sabbath and a good life-work boundary. And I would encourage you to do the same thing. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.